And we are back. Now, for our next story, this may not be the Super Bowl, but debatably, the news and the talks that have been around it, they are said to be about as big as the Super Bowl. And let's just say that Disney had a very interesting week, especially with some of the other news that have occurred, including Disney spending $1.5 billion on stakes on Epic Games so that they could create a massive Disney universe within games such as Fortnite. And then there's also the whole controversy with Gina Carano trying to sue Disney, in which everybody is already giving Gina a massive L. But then there is this news in particular. The big announcement that nobody was expecting, but it looks like already people are adding it onto their list as one of the most anticipated movies of the year. But just out of curiosity though, Paleo, what is your opinion on Moana?
I love Moana. The first movie, it's funny because like when I first saw the movie back in 2016, I was kind of lukewarm on it after I first saw it, but then like a week after I watched the movie, I was constantly listening to the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, sometimes like at first like it's like a little bit iffy, but then you think back about like some of the elements and then you hear the soundtrack, like it grows on you so much. I think that's what happened with that's kind of what happened with me on Tangled. Like I really liked the movie when I first saw it, but I was lukewarm on the soundtrack. But over time, like, then it got to me. I was like, okay, stuff like When Will My Life Begin, I See the Light, and I Have a Dream, like, those are fantastic. But it looks like it is not the last that we shall see Moana. Now, technically, Disney was already planning this out, but it looks like now they have much bigger plans for this. And what I am talking about is the unexpected announcement of Moana 2. Yes, Disney has confirmed that they are going to be releasing a sequel to their big animated hit, Moana. And not only that, but Moana 2 is actually going to be coming out later this year. That's right, folks. This is going to be their animated release for this American Thanksgiving, specifically on November 27th. Now, at this point, we don't know what's going to be in store with this Moana movie in particular, or at least in terms of the narrative of the feature, what adventures that Moana and Maui are going to get into, and who are the new characters and stuff like that. In fact, reading from my source here on Variety, it actually states right over here, according to Disney, Moana 2 will take audiences on an expansive new voyage with Moana, Maui, and a brand new crew of unlikely seafarers. After receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana must journey to the far seas of Oceania and into dangerous, long-lost waters for an adventure unlike anything she's ever faced. So, that couldn't be any more vague, basically saying that Moana and Maui are going on an adventure with new characters. That's pretty much it. But what we do know so far is some of the people who are going to be involved. Now, we've already heard that there are going to be some there have already been talks with Dwayne Johnson and Ali Carvalho to go and reprise their roles, which, let's be honest, they're definitely going to go and do so. But one thing that has been confirmed is some of the cast and crew, or the crew especially, considering that we are going to get a mix of some people from the first film, but also some newcomers as well. I think it is safe to say that, well, of course, John Musker and Ron Clements will unfortunately not be coming back for Moana 2 as the directors, especially when John Musker has already retired a few years ago. But the director for this one is actually going to be a newcomer, someone who's going to be making his directorial debut, which is Dave Derrick Jr., who previously was a storyboard artist at Disney Animation on movies like Raya and the Last Dragon and Encanto. And on top of that, a lot of people have also noted that Lin-Manuel Miranda is not going to be returning to write new songs for the feature. And even though he will not be returning, the two other songwriters of the movie, Opatai Foai and Mark Mancina, they will be coming back. At least they got those two to go and write the songs and to stay true to the spirit of Moana. And on top of that, there are two new songwriters that will be joining them, specifically Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear, who are known as the creators of the unofficial Bridgerton musical. But that is not all, though. There is also another major thing that Disney has announced, and that is regarding the near future of what is in store for Walt Disney Pictures and in terms of their animation lineup. And surprisingly, at least for Disney Animation, they got a whole bunch of sequels going on. Unfortunately, Wish is going to be the last Disney animated feature that is purely original that we will have for now. They have also announced that Zootopia 2 is going to be coming out next year, specifically on November 26, 2025. And then the year after that, not only are we going to be getting the first of the next lineup of Star Wars movies with The Mandalorian and Grogu, and that we are going to get Toy Story 5, but they've also revealed we are going to be getting Frozen 3. And they have yet to even mention about when Frozen 4 is going to be coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they'll have a release date of maybe 2027 or 2028, but I guess we will have to wait and see. So, with Moana 2, Paleo, what are your thoughts on this one?
So, I'm kind of concerned, because this, if I'm not mistaken, this was originally they were going to do a series for Moana on Disney Plus.
Oh, yes, I forgot to go and mention that. Because it is true that originally the plan for this was to actually make a Moana Disney Plus series. They wanted this to be Disney Animation's first full-on series alongside with the Tiana series. And this one is also, and with that one, it was supposed to be done in their new division in Vancouver. However, somewhere down the line, they decided to change their minds and say, hey, instead of making this a series, let's turn this into a movie. So, sorry to interrupt, but go on.
Yeah, so that's what has me concerned about it. And the fact that like they didn't get the main voices until now, I guess. I get, and then maybe they're like redubbing over it or something.
Yeah, that's most
then,
likely
like,
the case.
Yeah, but I did see somebody mention in the chat that it is kind of a similar situation to what happened with Toy Story 2, because originally Toy Story 2 was going to be like a straight to video thing, or like a special, I think.
No, it was one of their it was originally one of their direct to DVD direct to home media sequels that they wanted to do, but then suddenly they changed their mind to make it theatrical, and then at some point they decided to just retcon everything, and they decided to build the entire movie in just 9 months, like putting the Pixar employees through hell on that one.
Yeah. Which Toy Story 2 is a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
So if it ends up like that, then I'd be like, oh, okay. That's great. And I mean, there's been like other stories of different animated films that have like either like been completely reworked within like less than a year sometimes. I mean, Zootopia, that happened to that film.
Yeah, there's
they had
Zootopia.
to completely scrap it. Yeah.
Yeah, Zootopia, and also, like, I would even add, like, a bit of the Spider-Verse films as well. They kind of went through the same thing, especially with the mindset of Phil Lord and Chris Miller constantly changing their ideas again and again and again. And especially, I think with both Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse, like, they finished the movie at like, the very last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have concerns as far as that goes. And as far as like Disney doing all of these sequels in the next couple of years, it does feel like they were a little spooked by how Wish performed.
Mm-hmm. Well, Wish and Strange World as well.
Yeah, and Strange World for their original films that they've done before. Though we are still getting some more original Pixar stuff because there's still Elio coming out.
Yeah, Elio and I think they're still working on the Win or Lose series. I think that's still going to be
Yeah,
happening for
yeah.
Disney Plus. Yeah, and well, go on. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just have to wait and see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We still don't have a trailer. We just have the teaser, so we'll have to see what the trailer. We'll probably get a trailer sometime in summer, maybe.
Yeah, well, honestly, it wasn't even a teaser. It was just like a little, it was like 15 seconds of just Moana
Yeah.
blowing on a conch, and that's it. But,
Oh,
but,
we did also have a like a
oh,
what's
some
it called?
images. That's true.
Yeah, an image. We did get an image. And I saw a whale shark, so I was like, oh, cool. I like whale sharks.
Yeah, that is true. Like, that is the most that we have gotten. Like, we see Moana, we see Maui, we see the pig and Hey Hey, and we got 3 new characters as well, as along with that whale shark that could be one of the ancestors, considering that
Yeah.
it has the same
Yeah,
patterns.
it's also weird that they're doing this and the live action remake. Like, like because they said they got I don't know if it was confirmed if they got a an actor to play
Uh,
Moana.
the
Um,
funny thing is that from what I've heard is that like there's been a lot of speculations on that one as well. And from what I've heard is that what's most likely going to happen is that they may delay it. Some people are saying that because of Moana 2, that plan for the live action remake is full on canceled. But I don't know, like some people are denying that, and some people are saying that what's most likely going to happen is that because it was originally going to be coming out in 2025, it would be way too soon to Moana 2.
yeah,
So chances are they're just going to go and delay it. Not to mention the fact that they haven't even started excuse me, they haven't even started production on that one. So I don't know. Like for me personally, it would be great if they would just cancel it so they could say that we're getting Moana 2 instead. That would be like a better alternative. But I don't know what
yeah,
Disney's plans are for that one, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But chances are we're gonna have to wait. I think because of what they're doing with Moana 2, they're gonna have to go and wait a lot. We're gonna have to wait a lot longer for that one.
yeah. Oh yeah, I also did want to say also I think they announced this because recently it came out of like the most streamed movies of 2023 and Moana was at the top. So they're like, we got to make this a movie and not a series.
Hmm. Yeah, honestly, I do. Yeah, honestly, it does make sense. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this has happened a few times because ever since Disney Plus started, Moana has consecutively been a champion in terms of being of like one of the most watched stream movies. Like if it's not a
Yeah.
number one, it's always among the top 10 stream movies ever. Like even compared to like the stuff on Netflix and on Max and on Amazon and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So honestly, I could see exactly why like they want to do their next step of like let's do a Moana 2. Like they've already had plans that they want to go and like make a continuation of Moana. So I could see the big appeal of like trying to make a Moana 2, especially if they want to go and win back audiences because well clearly there wasn't that much interest with either Strange World and Wish or that because of well, I mean, with the big Disney hate that's been going on social media, that it scared audiences away from watching those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I will say though that there is another thing that I've kept on hearing, and that's like that's one thing that people have been very concerned about in terms of Moana 2 because of the fact that originally they wanted to go and make this into a series, but they turned this series into a movie. And now there's been speculations that some people are thinking that because of that, this could be another case of Belle's Magical World or Atlantis Milo's Return, where this
Yeah.
movie turns out to be just take 3 or 4 episodes and you just put that into a feature film. Do you think that could be the case with this?
Mm, I don't know. Because I'm not sure like what they were planning with the Moana series if they was gonna like be like a solid. like narrative throughout that series, because like with those other films, uh, it definitely felt like it was like, oh yeah, this was like a pilot, pretty much for like
Mhm.
a series. For this, I'm not sure. I'd have to wait to see the trailer.
Honestly, I hope, like, for me, I hope not. I'm not saying that they're not going to go and do it, but it's just like that would feel like an extremely stupid thing for them to go and do. That would just be that would just be a massive failure. And I mean, like, considering that those two films have an awful reputation. I mean, like, so far, like, I will say already you do have a step up because just from that announcement clip of Moana blowing on that conch, like the animation, like it still looks fantastic. So at least like
Yeah,
like the animation quality won't be that bad. It's not like suddenly we'll see Moana like just reading a book to Maui and suddenly like she'll look up and her eyes are just going to be completely like one way and then another. It's not going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But I am hoping that that won't be a case in which and you've mentioned this before like before we started the story, that hopefully it's not going to feel like a rushed production. They're not,
yeah.
this won't be rushed, and that, whatever ideas that they have, that all they had to do is just morph it onto a feature film, and then we can go from there. So overall, it's for me, I would say that it's like, even though I really like you, I really like Moana. It is a little too early to say if this is going to be a great movie or if this is going to be a disaster. But honestly, I'm just going to keep my eye on it and see how this will go. But I mean, the fact that it is a Moana 2, it did get me intrigued. It did catch my attention. So I think that's the most that I could go and say. What about you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Oh yeah, J Monty in chat also mentioned it might depend on if there's an animation guild strike this year,
Oh,
because there are renegotiations going to be happening.
okay. That is actually interesting, honestly. We'll have to wait and see on that. But like I could yeah, like if that would be the case that there would be a union strike. Well, no, not even though. Like it would depend on that, and also it would depend if Disney does sign on with the union in the first place. Because keep in mind, Disney
Yeah,
Animation is unfortunately non-union. Hopefully things can actually change, but for now, doesn't look great. But well, we'll see how things will go. Uh, Someone mentioned that Disney Animation and Burbank are all 100% unionized. Oh, okay. And yeah, with Jonathan, I mean he's a very trusted source. So honestly, okay. So if they are unionized, then in that case, okay then. So yeah, if they go on strike, then yeah, Disney Animation will also go on strike. But anyways, with that said and done, let us now go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you think about the announcement of Moana 2? Are you guys excited for this to come out? Do you have any concerns? No matter what you may think, please let us know in the chat wall right over here. All right, let's see now. Glad to see Moana is coming back to theaters, despite the planned series now becoming a movie. 2023 seems to be not good for Disney, thanks to Bob Iger's problems like saying dumb things about the writers and actors strike, and donated $2 million to Israeli humanitarian aid and nothing for Palestine, sadly. That's why Wish and the Marvels didn't go well at the box office, and the same thing might happen in future releases like Inside Out 2 and Moana 2, as long as Disney is in the boycott list. Well, I honestly that's like a whole debate in itself right there. I don't know if I would like, maybe it has played a role. Like I know, like yeah, there's like a lot of problematic factors in regards to Disney, but I don't know if that would be like a major one that you would say that's what caused Wish and the Marvels to bomb and stuff like that. So I mean, like we could have a discussion about that, but I don't know if we have the time right now for this. Let's see, what else do we have here? Um, I don't know if it's just me being burned out over the recent Disney animation films, but the more I read about Moana 2, the more I'm cautious about it. Since the sequel is basically a retooled Disney Plus series, I'm afraid that the team didn't have time to fix some stuff to make it feature-worthy, and say what you think about Lin. The Moana soundtrack is a banger to listen, so I hope the new songwriters can match the first one, but hey, at least the furries can have their own Joker 2 with Zootopia. Now, honestly, I just want to say, and this might be a bit of a hot take, but personally, I'm not that concerned about the Moana soundtrack. I think it'll still be pretty solid. Like, yes, we don't have Lin-Manuel Miranda, but again, keep in mind that it's not just Lin-Manuel Miranda who wrote the songs. There's also Opatai Foai and Mark Mancina. They also contributed to the songs of Moana. So, I mean, yes, you don't have a key player, but you still have those two whom I have confidence that they will still provide some great substance onto what we have here with Moana. And also, like, if you have any concerns about how the soundtrack of Moana 2 is going to be, then maybe take a moment to listen to the unofficial Bridgerton musical. Then you could probably have an idea that maybe some of that tone will be adopted onto Moana 2. So just to clarify on that. So if you have any concerns, then my best recommendation is to just do your research. Let's see what else we have here. Well, this came right out of nowhere, but I welcome it. Moana 2 looks great, and considering Ali Carvalho's recent popularity through Haley's on It and the new Mean Girls, it's the perfect time to make it. As for others, I've gone on record to say that Toy Story 5 doesn't have a lot of potential, but I can't say the same about Zootopia 2 and Frozen 3. Overall, I'm psyched, but I've got to ask in regards to Moana 2, are we gonna get Tamatoa back? Oh, that is interesting. Like, honestly, yeah, we know Maui and Moana is coming back, but what about some of the others? Like, are we gonna see a return of Tamatoa, considering that he's a massive fan favorite? Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I think the best answer would be he'd better come back, or else we might end up having another Shafrilla's rant video about it.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's see what else we have here. I hate to sound cynical. In theory, I think Moana has plenty of potential as a sequel, and I'll admit I was one of those people who felt the same about a Zootopia sequel. Between what Paleo has mentioned about the Moana series and remake, which haven't even come out yet, if they haven't been cancelled, to me this feels like Iger in his inglorious return as CEO, trying to desperately prove that he hasn't lost his touch. I wouldn't even be surprised if he would want to replace artists with AI. Well, I mean, honestly, we haven't had any confirmation as of yet, and I mean, I cannot say if you are wrong immediately, but that remains to be seen, and honestly, the most that we could do is just wait until we see, like, either a teaser or a trailer come out, which, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we'll have to wait until maybe when there's going to be the, like, when Inside Out 2 is going to be coming out. I think around that time, that's when they'll put out the trailer, or at least the teaser.
Yeah, probably.
Let's see. In a way, I do understand why Disney is going through this sequelitis period once again, considering that their original films aren't really working at the moment from a commercial standpoint. And let's face it, IP films are usually more profitable than original films. But regardless, I'm super excited to see both Moana 2 and especially Zootopia 2, and I'm crossing my fingers that Disney can recapture that same legendary high standard that the originals captivated audiences with. And yeah, like, I understand if it's not that appealing that Disney is just going to be making sequels again and again. And I think even Bob Iger actually went on record to say that that Disney is so far making a little too many sequels. So I am hoping that that sometime soon, maybe in, like, you know, maybe in a few years' time, like in 4 or 5 years, Disney can go back to making original content, because, I mean, there's still that magic that you can get with those that you wouldn't get with sequels and stuff like that. Let's see. I think we'll read one more comment before we move on to our two more comments, actually. As someone who loves the original Moana movie, I have my concerns with this sequel in terms of the sudden announcement. One, I'm concerned about the potential rush production of what is supposed to be a TV series. Two, is it being released on the same weekend as Wicked Part 1? And three, having a sequel and live-action remake coming out within months apart unless it gets delayed or something. I don't want it to suck, of course, but I'm concerned how it's going to turn out overall in this sudden news. Well, I mean, there are some things that are already answered. Like there's already the strong possibility that the live action remake is going to be delayed, so that's already being covered. The rushed thing, I mean, that will have to remain to be seen. And then as for Wicked, I'm already seeing that some people are trying to make another Barbenheimer onto this. And if that would be the case, then honestly, the competitive nature won't be that much of a concern. In fact, it'll actually be a benefit for Disney. I think like Disney, I think if anything, Disney is hoping that they can have their own Barbenheimer alongside Wicked. Just out of curiosity, Paleo, do you think that if that were the case, do you think like the fact that Wicked is going to be coming out on the same weekend, do you think it's going to hurt Disney or could it help Disney in the same way as Barbenheimer?
I don't know, because like they're both gonna be musicals.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Barbenheimer was like such a unique thing that happened. It'd be really hard to capture that again. But uh, it does help that both of them are musicals and both of them are probably a lot shorter together than Barbie and Oppenheimer, because
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is like 3 hours long. So added that with Barbie is like, oh, you got like 5 hours of movies to watch through. Um, but with Moana is an animated movie, and they're about an hour and 45 minutes. Like at like usually is that's like their length. Um, and then Wicked, I'm not sure how long that musical is going to be for part one. I didn't even know it was going to be a part one. I thought they were going to do it in all in one go. Um, so well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And I guess, I guess I'll go. I'll have time for one more comment, actually. Um, hearing this news about Moana 2 really did got me hyped, and knowing what actually happened to the Disney Plus series really made some sense now. I just hope that it will be a fantastic sequel. Let's wait and see if this will be Disney Animation Vancouver's first big feature for them. For the upcoming sequel, Frozen 3 is my biggest anticipated film by Disney Animation. Zootopia I know will be great too. I did bump into Jared Bush a few months ago when I visited the studio. Seems like he was working on it. Oh, that's interesting.